Hey KINE 4P84 students, Ian Gordon here, presenting a video tutorial library seminar for your course. Hopefully this will help. I'm a teaching and learning librarian. I'll show you at the end how you can contact me if you need my particular assistance. But I learned a lot about this particular assignment. Hopefully you will as well. The seminar agenda, we'll talk about the research question, the KINE Library Research Guide, databases, there are lots of them, Medline specifically, but which version you should use, and we're going to explore PubMed because it's really important now and your future career. Citation management is always an issue of choice, and then I'm going to end the conclusion of this seminar by where, how, and when to get help. Let's talk about the research question first. So here's your assignment. You've got it in Brightspace. You do a group presentation. You have to document this. You have to find background material, all by these particular dates. So hopefully I'll help you to do these sorts of things. It's a group presentation on specific clinical condition. I guess you can choose. And its implications for exercise response, performance, and training. Everything about the course. So you got to pick a condition or disease. I'm going to pick asthma as an example. I guess you can't because you'd be copying my work. And you can pick any one of these, work with your professor on these sorts of things. Provide background information on a specific disease and condition, so you have to know something about it. Expected challenges or roles posed by exercise and training, which is all about the course, and the response to exercise or training as well. Asthma is what I'm going to use. Here's my research question. What are the challenges faced by practitioners treating children with asthma by exercise? Pretty neat question. There's a body of knowledge. We have to glean from it, be critical, and find literature that helps support our presentation, your write-up, and to be better informed as an example of something you may be doing as a clinical practitioner, as a health policymaker, or just someone working in the field. So if you look at the question, these are the concepts I've pulled from it. Exercise is important. Asthma, dealing with my population as children, and we're looking from a practitioner's perspective or viewpoint or paradigm. Another way to look at it is if this is the research question and these are the key concepts that we're looking for, I like to separate this and kind of create buckets when we search the literature. Everything on exercise, one side, everything on children on one side, everything on asthma, because there are actually 4 searches here. You can look for everything on asthma and exercise, asthma in children, exercise in children, or all 3 concepts together, asthma, exercise, dealing with a population of children as well. You have to kind of think through this and think like the database you're searching. So here's my homework that I've done. So here's my research question with my concepts. If you look at it from a PICO framework or background, our population is children, our intervention is exercise. Control group is people with asthma as opposed to not having asthma or another type of condition. And our outcome is healthy children. I guess that's the truth. So there's 3 elements to this. I looked at keywords and strategies. I looked at each database. So my first concept was my population child, and shift with 8 with the asterisk. Shift 8 picks up any word with child, like children, childs, or a hyphenated word. And mesh, they use the word child to define this age group. You really have to define this. PsycInfo, which is a psychology database, they have this age group and they call it school age. The education source database, because sometimes our searching transcends health and psychology to education, and Sport Discus is a database. They define the age group 0 through 12 as children, or you could use your natural language. Elementary school children is a term that I always like to include in my search strategy. The second search concept is exercise. So exercise, exercising, performance, training, response, responding, physical fitness, the phrase, physio, words without root, or rehab. So there's different ways you can look at this as well. I'm looking at asthma, and when I look at asthma, as you may look at your condition, is it HD, AD? You know, what acronyms could be used? What other words? I looked it up, and we'll look up this. Asperger's syndrome is a type or condition that's related to asthma, and we're not going to look at that, so I struck that in. Then I listed my keywords I want to look at. They come from a research question in the exercise. I'm looking for any articles that deal with challenges or barriers or role or roles, outcomes or treatments or intervention or interventions, approaches or behavioral relationships to these sorts of things. So it's kind of like in my parking lot to one side as I sit down and tackle each one of these particular databases. So frame out your research question, look at your search concepts, think of alternate or keywords, and then kind of think forward before you jump into the database. The mesh headings, which is the Medline database, is really important. And I went to it, and you can do it as well. Looked up asthma, it defines it, it gives you a date when it was used since, it gives you subheadings or how you could limit the research. And one is physiopathology or physiology. You see the word exercise is not there. So exercise, recreation, whatever term you want to use, is not a subheading, meaning there isn't a significant number of body of literature, or you just say everything dealing with exercise and asthma. So we have to work at that. At the bottom of this particular entry, you see also, and you see the classifications of where this is, because asthma is a type of bronchial disease, and it's a type of a lung disease. So you have to think through this, because you have to think like the database. And Medline forces you to use the appropriate subject. I looked up exercise, and there's the definition, whether you agree or not. That's what they use since 1989, knowing that they've used previous terms, exertion and physical fitness before that. It says, see also on the right-hand side, there's other words that describe this phenomenon. It's like teenager, adolescent, or high school student. Different words for the same concept, but in Medline or in MESH, they use subheadings that are precisely documented, exercise and asthma, and they spell it for you so that you know how to use this. So really, you got to do your homework. At the bottom of this, for exercise, they show you the classification structure, the hierarchy of other terms that you can use. Exercise is a type of motor activity or human activities, and there's subcategories, sub-mesh headings for these as well. You can choose to ignore these, include them at your own peril. I love word hippo, and you may think of another synonym-related database. I always think, what is another word for exercise? And if you look at here and you put it in, it gives you an interactive, you can go back and forth of different terms that you may want to use for your natural language. When we look at exercise or performance or strength or training, English isn't perfect, and there's different words and different spellings you may want to use. And you may say movement. Oh, I need to use movement, or working out. It's up to you to decide. A perfect search includes is not only the subject-controlled mesh headings or subjects, but also your natural language as well. So here we'll get back to our diagram here. So here's my research question, and I've included all those different words, and I've ORed the concepts that are together that are synonym, and will and these search concepts together. So we find all the articles on these particular topics, subjects, and natural language as well. So if you jump, and I'm doing my homework, I say I look at Google, Advanced Google, and Google Scholar first to see what's out there, how this is working, and you can do that. I've decided on the right-hand side to use Medline, Embase, Education Source, Sport Discus, Web of Science Core Collection, which is a really important database, and Academic Search Premier. As I put a boundary around this search strategy, I'm saying previous to 2000 is probably not important to me. I'm looking at English language materials. This is the filter I'm going to use. I'm looking at, as my first pass, scholar peer-reviewed articles, because that's the platinum or industry standard. There's my list of alternate terms, challenges, barriers, roles, and I'm going to use ZeteroBib and Zetero to document everything that I find, knowing that a perfect search, you don't find too many that you're wasting your time, you don't find too few articles that you're missing things in peripheral orders. That's why we call it the art of online searching. So here we go. We've got a research question. We've done some homework. We've dug. We've looked at our mesh headings. We've looked at alternate words. We've looked at some articles as well. Let's go to the kinesiology research guide. It's here, and as you see on the bottom, these slides and the videos here, but also that video I'm going to show you that you need to watch as well. I'll show you how to use PubMed. There's a welcome guide. There's a email help on the left-hand side. There's the chat service, which is closed now, but it's open most of the time, all their days and weeks. If you look at the page, there's books that you can find as well to get background or contextual knowledge of your particular condition or disease as well. You can use Omni or Google Books or WorldCat. Nothing better than a good book that helps you to find these sorts of things. And for my condition, I found 10 or 12 books. And you may as well on your particular condition or disease as it relates to recreation, health, strength, and training. Not a lot of articles out there, but here's some conditioning and sports-related, general conditional health. The one on the right, exercise, effects of regular exercise on asthma control. In my research, I'm finding there are a few books, guides, teaching guides that could help you. Not a lot, probably more theses or dissertations people have done on this topic. It's a really an emergent area, but we're really pointing to the academic scholar peer-reviewed literature. But a book like this may help you for your condition. Ask if you need help to identify something that may be helpful for you as well. Great literature is on this guide as well. And great literature is everything probably that aren't articles or books. So here we have the list of databases, definitions to find definitions for things like your condition or your disease. And I've put up there a number of current scholarly encyclopedias or dictionaries. You can browse through those as well. There's other tabs in this page. But I found in one of those guides referencing an encyclopedia, and I cited it on the bottom right, everything about asthma. I didn't talk about exercise or strength or training or rehabilitation, but it may give you background knowledge as well. Nothing better than a good general book and an encyclopedia scholarly article that may be helpful. Every time you find something, document it, send it to Zotero or Zotero Bib, but cite it so that you can use it previously in your presentation as well. Under the articles tab on this kinesiology guide, there's a number of databases. There's a link to what's peer-reviewed. It tells you what databases Medline covers, and I put Google Scholar there because that's where I usually start my searching, just to get a background knowledge. Web of Science Core Collection is a database I won't be covering here, but you need to search it. Sport Discus is a great database that covers sports, exercise, physiology in a way that's overlapping Web of Science and Google Scholar, but it includes unique content you won't find anywhere else. And there's Medline, we'll talk about that, and Embase, which is the European equivalent to Medline. So we've got a research question, we've gone through the guide, let's look at the databases. And here's a figure I put together of all the databases that I search on a regular basis. The ones in green are open databases, meaning they're free or you register and then you can use them and you find articles, but finding the full text of articles must be related to the Brock University Library. So they're pretty good. The ones in black are proprietary databases, or databases that Brock Library subscribes to, you have access to free, you just have to authenticate through the Brock proxy server. Lots of databases here. Elicit, Research Rabbit. Scopus is striked out because we don't have access to it here, but it's in a really important database on the equivalent to Web of Science Core Collection. On the next line, I have Medline, Embase, Web of Science. These are the core databases for your disciplinary knowledge, and so it would be nice if we had only one database to search. But there's unique content in each one of these databases, and you should search them together or separately, but you got to think like the database. Then at the bottom I've said Medline via PubMed, so that's what I'm going to show you today, and you should use. And then Web of Science Complete, I'll point to. You should search the two of those together. I think that'll help you to find enough literature to provide scholarly peer-reviewed literature to inform you of your presentation and your write-up as well. I always go to Google first. You probably do as well. Put in asthma with the shift 8 asterisk to pick up words with that root, exercise, exercising, and it gives you a page like this. And sometimes it brings up society or public knowledge, the Mayo Clinic, Healthline is a great resource, Johns Hopkins Library. So these may be great, provide context. So I always start with Google. Then I go to Google Advanced, and if you've never used this, it's kind of neat. So you kind of search in a formatted way. I look for all those words, or any of those words, but on the bottom, I usually tend to look at terms appearing in titles of the page and file type PDFs. So we're looking for PDFs with these words in the title of the page. They usually capture reports, documents, findings, open books, and scholarly peer-reviewed articles as well. So this is what I found. Things from an association, an article from Taylor and Francis, a Wiley article, so it helps you to find things. It just helps you explore. And then to kind of see how these explore your category as well. We'll be searching the literature, but these are just prefectory, contextual searches to help find things. As I said, I always search Google Scholar. When you go to Google Scholar, go to the Brock Library, and under the search tab, you'll see it says Google Scholar. Click on that tab, because when you search it, it searches through our content and links to what we have as well. So here's an example of a search. It's a pretty blunt instrument. You don't know what it's searching, but it finds things and sorts them as it ranks them as well. And then on the right-hand side provides a link that hopefully find the full text of the item as well. Google Scholar is pretty neat. You can save those things and build your own library. You can cite them. The cite page function, it works really well. Cited by, so each article is cited by in Google Scholar. So it's a nice way to kind of go, oh, that's interesting. Why did they cite this article? And other things you can use as well. So here we find a number of articles that may be of importance. This helps you explore in context to improve your search when you go to the database, or to find things you go, oh, this is great. Another thing you can do is when you go to Google Scholar, you can click on the databases page as well. And we have a number of databases in our library. We have 413 as they're listed there in alphabetical order. You can search for them by keyword or subject or different types. but usually you know the database you're looking for before you do that. So done Google, Advanced Google, Google Scholar, found a number of things, and we're going to search Medline as our first search. It's the database, it's the same database in each particular format, and we have it in 4 or 5 different formats or search engine interfaces. A Web of Science, which is really neat, I'll show you that. I tend to use that a lot. Ovid, Medline, which we teaches at undergraduate well. It forces you and effectively to use mesh headings, so it works as well. But it's the same database in all these 3 formats. And Medline via PubMed, which is the open version that we have, but if you search it within our IP domain here on campus or through the Brock proxy server, it links to the holdings for things as well. And in your career, you may find Medline in other robust formats. There's lots of them, but here's the 3 that we subscribe to. First of all, I did an education source, ERIC, Advanced Search Premier, Sport Discus, CINAHL database. If the database has the same search engine format, which is EBSCOhost, if you click on the Choose Databases function here, you can add databases and search them all at once. So on the bottom right, I searched Academic Search Complete, which is really neat, CINAHL, which is the nursing database, Sport Discus, which is an important database, and Education Source. If you have educationally related concepts to your specific condition, and you usually do because elementary schools, secondary schools practice or implement policies dealing with exercise, phys ed, or those sorts of things as well. So on the top right is my search strategy. I began searching for words and concepts. I looked for words and titles and subjects, and I used a couple of database nuances to look for in that third item, child or children or childs, or elementary within 3 words either side of student or students, or student hyphenated words as well, like in elementary school students or students in elementary schools. And so I used the filters on the left, limiting by date, format, and usually language, and I found 441 articles. I went through them and identified the ones that may be important, cited them to one side, and then sent them to Zotero. Here's an example of one article I found in this database. It gives you the authors, the subjects. Always look at the subjects in each particular database because it helps you to define what mesh equivalent subjects may be important. Maybe you're using the right subject, maybe you're not. It gives you an abstract, you can cite it, you can look at it. Well, when you look at the actual full text of this article, these are the mesh headings that relate to this article. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and sometimes it's hard to know why they picked those terms, but asthma is there, and it's asterisk to say that it's a major concept or mesh heading, and child is the population of the user group, and exercise. So we're kind of helping to inform and to best practice our search engine when we actually get to Medline. Here's Medline being Ovid. It kind of looks differently, same database, no better, no worse, it's same currency. And so I did 12 limits in searches, and I found 492 articles. Here's an example of one of the citations I found. I pulled the DOI and put it in Zotero Bib. It found it, and here's the full text of that article. And look at the mesh terms that related to this article. Determinants of exercise capacity in children and adolescents with severe therapy-resistant asthma. You can look at the author keywords. They're listed there. Read the abstract, look at the references, find other articles through this, but helping you to inform when you actually sit down and look at mesh, these are the subjects that describe this article. Maybe you should be using those to find articles that may be of interest to you in your condition. Web of Science, Medline is my favorite database to search Medline. Not Medine, but Medline. A typo there. I got 2,852 articles looking for asthma as a major heading, my age group, and words and titles. Kind of worked. I found 1,300 articles dealing with asthma or asthma hyphenated words or asthma plural, like asthmatic. Look for the word child and exercise in my or synonyms together. And I look for words and titles to find articles that may have these words as well. So there's lots of articles out there. How they relate to this exercise, it's hard to tell, but you'll have to look through those as well. I did a different search. I said, I got to get better at this. Asthma is a major mesh heading. Child as a major limiting factor. And I look up the word exercise like near, again within 3 words, the word training, performance. I still got 321, so I looked at those. I did a different type of search. So the art of online searching is to scan the literature to help me find as many articles that are relevant and limit the number of irrelevant articles. Here's another strategy. I found 276 articles. Here's another one where I found asthma in the same field, subject, title, abstract, as physiology, and other words and mesh headings. And so there's different ways to skin a cat. what I did is I combined them all, as you can see at the top, in 1 or 22 or 23, kind of looks like Ovid, and I found 222 articles when I filtered by language, document type, and journal article, and year. I went back to year 2000. So you can go through those, you can sort them, and on the left-hand side, you can click on them to put them into a marked list, and then of these 222, I found maybe 10 or 12 that are just perfect. You can sort these articles. I like Web of Science because it's pretty robust by who's touched these articles in the last 180 days. On the right-hand side, by relevance, kind of like what Google Scholar does, the most to the least relevant, same number of citations, I can pick them off. The newest to the oldest, I can browse them. Usually you can tell by the title of the abstract whether they're appropriate or not. Or citations, which are the most highest citations in this particular database, high to low as well. So it gives you a different way to look at your results. What it is, I grabbed 12 of them, I highlighted them, and then I looked at them and I see how they're doing, and then I exported them to Zotero. Here's an example of one citation. Again, still Medline, still the same database. Citation, abstract, terms, who's forwarded citation, this particular citation, and the citation is there as well. So here's that article, and then these are the mesh terms from PubMed that describe this article, which is, wow, different. So it helps you to inform. Some searches are easy, some aren't. Some give you too much information. How do you limit them not to miss things that are of personal interest? I take the DOI from this article. It's a number, and I put it in Zotero Bib, and I used APA Citation 7th edition, and it cites it. So if you haven't bookmarked cited or TIB, or haven't used it as well, make sure you use it. It's a great tool. And I put the DOI into Zotero, where I claimed a file for Kinesiology 4P84, this exercise, and I added it to my list of citations as well. Really important, you should do this as well. So here's all the databases. Using PubMed or Web of Science Complete would be important for you to use, but you choose which databases you want to use as well. Here's the database if you haven't used as well. Of the 20 or so databases I search on a regular basis that are open, meaning they're free, or you register for them, or they're AI assisted, meaning they're using ChatGPT to create a list that is kind of neat. So I asked the question, what role does exercise have with treating asthma? I found 4 top papers. I provided ChatGPT-like text, and it lists all the citations as well. Increasingly, these databases are really neat to use, but Medline will soon enable this type of technology to help you think more beyond search concepts as well, and help create text. So here we go. Research question, the guide, databases. Which version of Medline should you use? Well, in our library, we have 3. I'm going to show you how to use PubMed, and you should actually be PubMed certified, such that you know when it works, it doesn't work, how to get around it, so that you're comfortable in producing citations as part of your professional practice, an essay you've got to do, or this particular exercise, though it's the same database in every particular place. Okay. We're going to look at PubMed here, and let's just go through it. I've pointed to in the research guide this particular YouTube. Watch it. You got to watch it. It's 17 minutes and 13 seconds. 13 seconds well wasted. I don't create a video showing you how to do this because this does such an excellent job, and it uses the same search interface that PubMed uses for us as well. So check it out. Watch it. Well worth your while. PubMed is here, and there's advanced and a basic search, but at the bottom there's the mesh headings on the right-hand side, learn, frequently asked questions. They do an excellent job providing you help. They update the information, and here's frequently asked questions, help you to do a good search. And on this page there's how to actually search the database. It gives you examples and formats and video that relates to this as well. So there's no excuse knowing how to use PubMed. Take time to explore these, and they're updated on a constant basis as well. To the PubMed search builder, the top URL is our Brock link, which you authenticate, but the advanced search interface is open, and you can use this at any particular time. So it says, what are you looking for? How do you want to search? And it tracks that as well. Watch the video, we'll show you how to do it as well. So here's PubMed as we have it through our link. The filters are there, search history is there, so you're ready to go. Let's go back to our search strategy. We've kind of done our homework. We know what we're going to search. We've ORed search words and natural language for each one of our concepts. Then we AND the concepts together, not forgetting about the keywords or natural language that we want to use as well. So we're ready to jump into the guide. We jump there and it looks like this. So here's the advanced search engine. And here's what I did. So it took me 13 search strategy steps to get to what I wanted. If you look at the bottom, number 1, I searched asthma, then I put keywords and titles, I combined them, I combined words as major concepts, I combined words and titles, and then I ordered things together. So here's an example of a search logic that you may want to use, but every search is different, depending on how much information and what search concepts you want to use. I found 184 articles, which, well, I only want 5 or 6, but 184, meaning you can browse through these and limit these and find maybe 10 or 12 from them as well. So when you go to your search and you find your search results, you can highlight or click off the articles that look of interest. You can look at them more in depth, but you should be pretty familiar with how this works and how to implement it, not only for this course, but in your professional practices as well. Here's an article I found. Looks good. It's citation I use Zotero Bib for. And again, here's these mesh headings, which are pretty important. Some articles have 4 or 5. This has about 12. And it tells you what are the major concepts, meaning one's highlighted with an asterisk. And it tells you the subheadings as well, where you have a slash and a different term as well. Population, your condition, what is it you're looking for. Just including lateral language subjects, but your mesh headings really help control how successful you are as well. So PubMed is a really important database. You really need to know how to use it. Some notes I kept that may be helpful to you. What is your research question? You got to be able to answer that. And it may change as you move forward, but you got to know what that is. Develop a search strategy based on your research question. That's obvious. Search using mesh terms, which are really important, reviewing definitions, dates, and alternate subjects, so be better informed. Consult the mesh headings either in PubMed or next to it with this URL. And you consider exploding, meaning finding subheadings, or focusing, finding narrow subjects. Watch the video, it'll show you how to do that as well. Also, don't rule out using natural language keywords, phrases, and acronyms like ADHD. You maybe want to use a kimono of those. Using word hippo is kind of neat to find alternate words and terms as well. So as we did, we created a list of filters to use, put boundaries around our age, our language, our document type, or one of several filters or boundaries that you can put around your research. You want to map out your search strategy using the mesh terms, you can't avoid them, or your natural language and all the filters that you could use, you or search concepts, you and search statements, and then you combine the results like we showed in PubMed as well. Sort and browse. Serendipity is still a research methodology. You go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I never thought of that. Let's do a different search this way. Or I like this one, this one, this one. So you push those to one side as well. Read the headings, mesh headings, and read the abstracts of the articles. Mark citations for downloading. Export citations to Zotero Bib, but mostly to Zotero. You really got to do this and learn how to do this. But return your search strategy, meaning you can save it if you sign into the database, or just take a screen jump. Or add your notes so that you know when you did it, how you did it. So if you had to run it again, you could do it, or if you had to improve it, or if you had to share some with someone. How did you do that, Ian? You could actually share it. This is how I did that as well. Documenting not only what, where, and how you searched is really important for every major search that you did, including this course. Follow up, identify key papers for downloading. Do your citations help to answer your research question, meaning did you find what you're looking for? If not, always ask for help if needed. Even I do that as well. There's experts around the world that help me to do good searches. Importantly, this is the rubric. Define, identify, build, run, evaluate, then redefine as necessary until you're happy enough. Usually good search, you find hundreds of articles, you find 10 or 20 that may be related, you use 5 or 6 that for your final paper or your analysis or this particular presentation, document everything, but you may think of a different way of looking at it, so use this rubric at every time in your research strategy, including this course assignment as well. So we're nearing the end. I want to talk about citation management. You can go to the research guides. We have a style guide here in the library that puts together all these guides, knowing how to write, when to write, and how to cite. Zotero Bib we talked about, and Zotero. So here's the Zotero. I showed you the desktop version. Here's the cloud account, which are meshed together. And the nice thing about this is I put in a file for kinesiology 4P848 asthma. I got, 10 or 12 citations. You can add notes on the right-hand side, tags. But in the cloud account, where it says groups, you can create an account where you and a number of people, colleagues, students, or in future people you work with or practitioners, can create a group account where you all contribute and you all share it at any one time. So my thought to you would be, if you're working with more than one person, create a Zotero group account and add everything you find and then evaluate it. It only finds things that you can provide citations for, tracks your notes and your history, but it also 10 years from now you go, what was that? You can go back because it's a record of what you've done as well. Also, if you're not, Zotero, download the Word app. And on the right-hand side, under Zotero, you can add and take away citations. So as you're writing, this paper answers the research question, exercise and ASBA, you can click and add citations from your Zotero account, and it automatically includes them in your references as well. Some people just love this. Ask if you need more help to orientate this. Some people don't like it. It's changed people's lives. So the Zotero Word app is probably the next thing beyond Zotero and Zotero Bib that you should use for citation management. So here we go. We've gone through a lot today. I know it's taken a while. Hopefully it's helped. Where, how, and when to get help. Well, you can go to the Kinesiology Research Guide. You can always email the library for general things like this isn't working or how do I. Ask Us chat service. So on every library page, there's an Ask Us chat widget. I usually do that during the day, the evening, and even on weekends during busy times of the year. Someone will answer a question of how do I, or why isn't this working, or can you help me find a book that relates to this, or an article. Always a great service. And the last thing is book a consultation. If you book a consultation, you can book with me or somebody else, pick a date and a time. This is an old page, but you would pick up the January, February, whatever you need to, and click on a time. It would ask you, what do you want to meet for? And you'd say, well, for this course I need help with, and you fill out the sentence. It would send me a message, you a message, and it would secure a date and a time where for a half an hour we would go over this, either together with somebody else or with you by Teams. I prefer to meet in person, but I would validate that as well. So don't apologize for booking a consultation. Download Zotero, how to use Mesh, a database for this or any particular course. Again, we are here to help you build and develop skills you'll use not only in this and other courses, but in your professional practice as well. So thanks for letting me join you here. Hopefully this has been informative. A shorter version of this was presented as part of your class, but reach out for help. I'm glad to help you. And if you email me, put Brock Library or Brock University or your course in the subject line so it doesn't go straight to my trash mail. If you get me an email any time of the day, night, or weekend, I'll respond, and hopefully we can connect that way as well. So good luck with this assignment. Thanks for letting me into this class.